We learn the terrible tale of a married couple whose love story took a murderous turn in this chilling true crime documentary. The husband's feelings turned violent upon learning that his wife was transsexual, culminating in a horrific murder. What started off as a joyful celebration of love turned into a terrifying story of discrimination, treachery, and terror. Come along as we reveal the startling sequence of events that precipitated this catastrophe and illuminate the shadowy aspect of bigotry. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share this page for more compelling real crime tales. Today, we look at a tragic story out of San Jose, California, when a recently wed couple discovered something terrible about their spouse. This information sparked a lethal altercation that resulted in a horrifying act of violence. In San Jose, California, Kadeem Callister, 29, worked for Cisco as a software developer. His keen sense of humor, love of vintage cars, and careful disposition were well known to his friends. Despite his reputation as a perfectionist, many close to him valued his thoughtful and kind nature. Given the success of Silicon Valley in 2019 and Kadeem's career at Cisco, the latter took great delight in it. His prospects appeared bright. He had a complicated connection with his younger sister, Rachel, who was the younger of his two siblings. Kadeem's more sober and orderly way of living frequently clashed with Rachel's rebellious nature and her battles with drug and alcohol addiction. Even though they didn't get along, Kadeem always made an effort to help Rachel, especially after their parents died a few years prior. Kadeem. He had yearned for security and the ideal companion, and at the beginning of 2019, he thought he had discovered both in Lily, a self-employed fashion designer. They both dove headfirst into their whirlwind romance, which led to an intense and rapid progression of their relationship. They surprised friends and relatives by getting married in a few of months. Kadeem, who is typically analytical and cautious, seems to set all of that aside for Lily. Notwithstanding their reservations, Kadeem was certain he had discovered the one, and nothing could make him doubt their future together. In contrast to Kadeem's world of electronics and modest design, where a clean sweatshirt was his go-to outfit, Lily was composed, fashionable, and artistic. They appeared to be a wonderful match on the surface, their personalities complementing one another. However, Kadeem's close pals started to pick up on hints that things weren't quite as wonderful as they appeared. The days before his death, Kadeem seemed more nervous. Even so, his pals were unable to pinpoint the cause. He continued as usual, working late on important projects for Cisco and talking with pals about a surprise trip he was organizing for the forthcoming first wedding anniversary of himself and Lily. There were no overt indications of a problem. Kadeem has been looking forward to visiting places like Napa Valley or a quiet vacation in Carmel by the sea. In addition, he was beginning to consider the long term, including moving up to a larger home, establishing a family, and settling into a more secure future. But below it all, Kadeem was dealing with personal issues that he avoided disclosing to most people. Though he struggled with trust and heard reports of disintegration in his marriage, Kadeem never gave up hope that things would improve with Lily. This new chapter, he felt, was the opportunity for the clean slate he had always desired. But tragically, everything came to an end when Kadeem Callister's body was found early on November 18, 2019. Kadeem's wife, Lily McAllister, called 911 at approximately 7:30 in the morning to report that she had discovered her husband dead in their posh San Jose condo. The pair occupied a contemporary apartment close to Santana Row, a busy neighborhood renowned for its upscale stores and eateries. Lily told the dispatcher that she had searched the condo after noticing Kadeem wasn't in bed after waking up early. Lily said to the police that she had searched the condo and discovered Kadeem in the laundry area. He was covered in many stab wounds and laying on the ground in a pool of blood. His chest had been punctured by the fatal wound, creating a graphic sight that suggested a fierce battle. Kadeem's torso was cut and battered, and his arms were limp at his sides. Clothes were strewn all around the washing room, clearly the result of a violent altercation. The blood-splattered washer and dryer, which had formerly been immaculate, now smelled strongly of rotting meat rather than clean clothing. Lily's voice was eerily quiet as she dialed 911, but it faltered occasionally, indicating her shock and bewilderment at what she had seen. Within minutes, Officer Emily Reyes and her colleague, Officer Mark Tran, arrived at the scene. They cordoned off the area right away, noting the laundry room covered in bloodstains and the mess around Kadeem's lifeless body. While Tran surveyed the remainder of the unit to make sure there was no intruder or immediate threat nearby, Officer Reyes looked for any signs of life. The officers realized they had entered a dangerous situation as the scene was dismal. Officer Reyes discovered Cody was already chilly to the touch when she felt his pulse. He had obviously been dead for a while. Lily, meanwhile, was brought outside to be questioned. Despite her seeming distressed, Officer Reyes saw that she wasn't crying and seemed emotionally cut off from the situation. Her gaze seemed aimless as she responded to inquiries with little, snippety phrases. The crime scene investigation team stepped in as backup arrived and began meticulously going through the unit in search of any evidence that may shed light on Cody's circumstances. The investigators realized right away that the murder would require an understanding of the violent battle that took place in the laundry room. Reporters were then informed by neighbors that they had not observed anything out of the ordinary on the morning of the murder. The walls of the condo building were thick, and city noise frequently drowned out sounds from other flats. Despite the fact that the couple had just moved in, Cody was well-mannered and quiet, according to others who knew him. Lily, on the other hand, was less visible and more elusive within the building. Furthermore, very few neighbors had any lasting memories of her. One elderly neighbor who lived across the hall remembered seeing Lily at the grocery store the day before the murder, despite the fact that other neighbors hadn't seen much of her. The location was cordoned off with yellow police tape and the inquiry was underway when detectives arrived. Lily was transported to the station for questioning as Cody's body was quickly brought to the coroner's office, where investigators are hoping to learn additional details about what transpired before her husband's horrific death. Nobody could have predicted the mysteries that were going to come to light. On November 18, 2019, early in the morning, Lily McAllister called 911. The San Jose Police Department responded promptly. Experienced detectives James O'Brien and Lisa Chang were assigned to the case, eager to learn the truth about Cody McAllister's untimely demise. They walked into the posh condo, O'Brien's systematic approach complementing Chang's acute attention to detail. In an attempt to solve the mystery, the crime scene had gory blood smeared all over it. The disorganized chaos that suggested a violent conflict had occurred. The sight in front of the detectives suggested a darker, more complex motive for Cody McAllister's murder, even though they both knew it would be a challenging case. The situation inside the little laundry room was disorganized, with Cody's body laying face up next to the door and covered in a large pool of blood. There was blood on the floor and clothes everywhere, socks, shirts, and towels, all of which were stained red from the fierce struggle that had taken place. The mess implied not just a struggle but also a last-ditch effort to get away or protect himself. Chang and O'Brien exchanged a look, both of them understanding that they had to find out what really happened to this horrible incident. It was clear that there had been a serious struggle. A crimson steak knife, possibly the murder weapon, was lying a few feet from Cody's corpse. Its ergonomic black handle, common in many kitchens, was now covered in clotted blood, a somber reminder of the violence that had taken place in this cramped room. O'Brien bent down to take a closer look at the knife and noted where it was in relation to Cody's corpse and the turmoil surrounding them. The blood-splattered washer and dryer, as well as multiple bloody handprints on the doorframe, gave the police reason to believe Cody retaliated during the attack. Detective Chang gave the forensic team instructions to gather blood samples and started organizing the evidence. Look for any evidence of forced entry and check for fingerprints. In order to piece together the series of events that culminated in this awful scene, every detail was crucial. Because the laundry area was compact, the detectives were able to collect evidence rapidly. They looked all over the flat with special blue lights, looking for further blood evidence, but it looked like the attack was limited to the laundry room. Officers conducted a neighborhood canvass, asking locals whether they had seen anything strange, but no solid leads turned up. Detective O'Brien focused on creating a schedule. Lily had said that after less than a year of marriage, everything seemed to be going well. Her statements, however, were refuted by the evidence of a violent altercation, casting doubt on the genuine nature of their relationship. It seems possible that Cody knew his attacker because there was no sign of forced entry. The detectives looked around the site, speculating that this might have been a tragically escalated domestic argument. The coroner verified that Cody had been stabbed 3 times, with the last one killing him and cutting his aorta, suggesting a vicious altercation. According to the coroner's assessment, Cody most likely passed away from his wounds minutes after the incident. Nothing suspicious was discovered by investigators when they combed the remaining condo. The chaotic scene didn't take away from the very personal feeling it had, which suggested a long-standing conflict rather than a random act of violence. Clearly, this was not an isolated incident. Lily McAllister, Cody's wife, who had reported the murder to 911, was the main suspect. Lily, a 32-year-old independent fashion designer, was well known in the community's creative scene for her daring, one-of-a-kind creations. Many were captivated by her calm, mysterious attitude. However, many who knew Lily claimed that she was rather quiet about her personal life. A little over a year earlier, she had met Cody, and some acquaintances had been taken aback by their quick romance. On November 18, 2019, during her first interrogation, Lily seemed composed but obviously shaken. She informed detectives that during a brief morning stroll, she had discovered Cody's body. Although she said their marriage was generally amicable, She did admit they had been fighting more often lately. Lily's emotions escalated while Detective O'Brien questioned her, but her story was the same the entire time. She said that she didn't know who could have hurt Cody. Still, the investigators saw a number of warning signs. Above all, there were no indications of forced entry, indicating that the assailant was probably someone Cody knew. Lily also had a little cut on her hand and bruises all over her arms. She said they were from an accident the day before when questioned, but it didn't feel like a satisfactory response. Her manner unnerved O'Brien, who was by nature distrustful, especially considering the brutality of the act. The atmosphere in the room charged as the questioning went on. The cops brought up reports that Lily and Cody's younger sister Rachel were having an affair. Lily acknowledged the relationship and the affair after a little silence. Lily clarified that the affair started prior to and persisted after her union with Cody. She went on to say that the afternoon before Cody passed away, she had had a sexual encounter with Rachel. This statement further complicated the situation by raising the possibility that the love triangle has intense emotional bonds. Speaking on her love for both Cody and Rachel, Lily emphasized the hot, intense connection she shared with Rachel in contrast to Cody's consistent support. The fact that Lily's secret connection may have been the catalyst for the argument that resulted in Cody's death gave the police cause for concern. The investigation was further complicated by further issues about Lily's past and motivations brought up by the lack of background material. It was perplexing to detectives that Lily's life was not documented until 2015. She had claimed to be from Calgary, Canada, to Cody and his buddies, but there was no proof of this anywhere. Suspicions were aroused by her lack of knowledge that she might be hiding something from her past, which could be important in figuring out why the crime was committed. Detectives sensed there was more going on beneath Lily's cooperative exterior. They questioned her about her connection to Cody, asking about any recent disputes. Lily strongly denied having anything to do with Cody's death, even though she admitted that they had been fighting about money and other personal issues. Lily wasn't immediately taken into custody, but she was still a significant person of interest while the inquiry was just getting started. In order to find any information that might help explain the violent act that took Cody's life, investigators intended to look into Lily's past and her relationship with him. Subsequently, they focused on Cody's younger sister, Rachel McAllister. The Fountain Tap, a well-known downtown bar, employed 26-year-old Rachel as a bartender. She also pursued her love of music by doing Taylor Swift covers at neighborhood open mic events. She was well known for her love of the nightlife in the Bay Area and her rebellious spirit. Her relationship with her brother Cody was complex, but tight. Her explosive temper and history of drug and alcohol abuse prompted suspicions right away. Prior to Cody's involvement, Rachel and Lily had been in a covert relationship, which was revealed throughout the inquiry. Rachel carried on the romance even after Cody and Lily were married, adding more complexities to the already intricate web of treachery. Detectives were concerned that the passionate and turbulent relationship between Rachel and Lily would have given Rachel a reason to hurt her brother. There might have been a heated argument if Cody had learned about their relationship. Days before Thanksgiving, in the afternoon of November 19, 2019, Rachel was brought in for interrogation. Rachel was clearly having trouble with the questioning from the moment she sat down. She fiercely denied having anything to do with her brother's death, which finally boiled over into frustration. She declared to Detective O'Brien that she loved Cody and would never consider hurting him, despite their conflicts. Her body language, though, gave the opposite impression. She shuffled in her seat nervously, averted her gaze, and became combative when asked about her continued relationship with Lily. When it came to Rachel's actions the night of the murder, the investigators questioned her. She couldn't come up with a convincing alibi, so she said she had been working late at the Fountain Tap and went home to smoke some cannabis. O'Brien also asked about Duke Coleman Kang, her violent ex-boyfriend who had been seen close to Cody's condo at the time of the killing. Although Rachel admitted that she hadn't spoken to Duke in months, she tightened up in a noticeable way. When his name surfaced, investigators learned more about Rachel's struggles with substance abuse and financial difficulties, raising further suspicion. They surmised that she might have reached her breaking point due to stress from her relationship with Lily and jealousy of Cody's achievements. Rachel was a major suspect in the inquiry despite the lack of concrete physical evidence linking her to the crime due to the complexity of her relationships with Cody and Lily. David Duke Coleman Kang, a 42-year-old with a lengthy history of violent crimes, was the third subject of the investigation. Duke had served multiple prison terms as a result of accusations he had faced, including drug selling and assault. In San Jose, he was well known to the police, especially in the more impoverished areas like East Side, where there was a higher incidence of crime. After Cody's death, Duke's infamous reputation and his relationship to Rachel McAllister rapidly made him a target of detectives. He had been spotted the night of the incident close to Cody's fancy condo. About 10 A neighbor claimed to have seen him in the parking lot. 30 o'clock, enjoying a blunt. Investigators were concerned about this sighting since Duke has a history of acting erratic, especially around Rachel. Their relationship had been characterized by frequent disagreements, which were often intensified by substance usage, even though they had broken up months ago. Police conjectured that Duke might have been looking for Rachel and wound up at Cody's condo instead, possibly motivated by jealousy or rage. Duke was brought in by the police for interrogation on November 21, 2019. As Detective O'Brien and Detective Chang walked him to the station, he appeared composed, almost uninterested. Duke, wearing jeans and a beat-up leather jacket, didn't seem to be concerned about the seriousness of the situation. Duke said he was there to confront someone about unpaid drug bills when asked about his appearance outside Cody's building the night of the murder, but he insisted nothing happened. He insisted that he didn't know Cody well and denied any role in his passing. But his criminal past made the detectives wonder, which increased their suspicions. His association with drug-related activities and his bond with Rachel indicated a possible reason. Investigators questioned whether Duke had been trying to settle a score or intimidate someone when things escalated unexpectedly. They questioned him about whether Cody's death was the result of a confrontation that happened, or if his presence near the condo was related to Rachel. Duke insisted he hadn't gone inside the building that evening and he would not acknowledge any involvement. The authorities had no concrete evidence connecting him to the crime, even with his previous record. Even if his alibi was flimsy, it was hard to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. As investigators worked to go through the complex web of connections and motives behind Cody's killing, the inquiry encountered more and more obstacles. Almost a week after Cody Callister's death, on November 24, 2019, the San Jose Police Department was notified of a crucial lead. One eyewitness claimed to have witnessed a woman exiting the condo complex not long after the murder. Lily had been viewed with suspicion but had not been charged until this sighting. Detectives re-examined the witness's account because she said the woman had Lily's build and hair color. Their goal was to find any disparities and have a more comprehensive understanding of the circumstances behind Cody's demise. It was a cool Sunday, and the light rain added to the investigation's gloomy tone. While examining the evidence at the station, Detectives O'Brien and Richards were approached by a forensic technician who had made an unexpected discovery. A hidden file containing medical records was discovered by the technician while dissecting Lily McAllister's MacBook. One particular document caught my attention. It pointed to a serious health problem that Cody had probably found shortly before he passed away. This new information raised more questions about the case and raised the possibility that Cody was considering this upsetting information in the days before the accident. It was discovered that Lily McAllister had undergone gender transition surgery years prior in Canada, despite being born a man. She was identified as Lyle Dubchenko in the 2015 filings. This startling disclosure not only revealed a long-kept secret, but it also raised the possibility that Lily had hidden this part of her history from Cody, who was probably unaware of it when they were married. The ramifications of this assumed identity gave the inquiry a great deal of weight and brought up issues with trust and their relationship's dynamics. Before her transfer, authorities discovered another startling revelation as the investigation went on. While residing in Calgary, Lily, then known as Lyle, was wed to Rachel McAllister, Cody's sister. This discovery significantly increased the case's complexity by unexpectedly and perhaps explosively entwining the lives of all three parties. The already complex love triangle seemed even more complicated today, prompting doubts about previous partnerships, ulterior intentions, and the possibility of long-standing animosity. Investigators started creating a potential scenario. Cody may have discovered the concealed documents by chance while using Lily's laptop. This discovery might have set off an explosive altercation between him and Lily on the night of his murder, given the tensions already present in their marriage. The incident might have tragically escalated into violence due to the emotional upheaval and betrayal. Lily was hauled in by the police for additional interrogation in light of this new information. Focusing on her history. Lily admitted that Cody had learned her secret that evening after being handed the documents, which led to a furious dispute. She asserted that in addition to Cody's intense feelings of betrayal and rage over her covert transition, her prior marriage to his sister, she maintained that the argument never escalated to violence. Lily claimed that despite her best efforts to soothe Cody, the disagreement got out of hand, forcing him to go outside and get some fresh air. An important juncture was reached in the investigation with this information, leading investigators to surmise that Cody's murder was intimately connected to the emotional turmoil he experienced after learning about Lily's past. Investigators returned to the location of the crime in an attempt to gather further proof for their theory regarding Cody's emotional condition at the time of the incident. In order to determine whether Rachel McAllister was aware of Lily's past and what she might have told Cody, they also conducted another interview with her. This new information not only made a possible motive clear, but it also put Lily at the top of the suspect list, encouraging a closer look at the things she did before the murder. The San Jose Police Department officially named Lily McAllister as Cody McAllister's killer on the evening of November 26, 2019. Detectives presented their case armed with evidence from the crime site, Lily's past, and the emotional turbulence surrounding Cody's revelation of her secret. As the specifics of their turbulent relationship became public, Lily was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder. And it was evident what turned into a furious disagreement that turned violent. A complex web of love, treachery, and finally tragedy had come to light during the investigation. Police came to the conclusion that Cody had uncovered these after they found concealed medical records that disclosed Lily's history as a transgender person and her previous marriage to Cody's sister Rachel. This information sparked a heated fight at the couple's luxurious condo, which ended with Cody being fatally stabbed. In the community's creative scene, 32-year-old Lily McAllister was always a mysterious presence, well known for her artistic creations and collected manner. However, her personal life was much more intricate. Driven by betrayal and hatred, the couple's fight ended fatally, shocking the town and shattering the family. Lily, who was well known for her distinctive clothing designs and soft-spoken manner, had moved to California a few years prior and had led a peaceful, seemingly secluded existence. But even Cody, her spouse of just a few months, was unaware of her hidden past as Lyle Dubchenko, a guy who transitioned in Canada. Cody's sense of betrayal and wrath after learning this knowledge probably led to the violent altercation that ultimately resulted in his death. Their relationship's intricacy was highlighted by the sad conclusion of emotional anguish and hidden facts, leaving both families to deal with the catastrophic aftermath. Police think that the argument quickly got out of hand after Cody confronted Lily. During the battle, Lily, in a moment of desperation, grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed him in the chest. Although she would subsequently assert self-defense, investigators discovered a considerably more complex scenario. The unexpected findings mixed with the deep emotional levels of their relationship of Lily's past, painted a complicated picture of betrayal and turmoil. The investigation had uncovered a network of secrets that had been accumulating for years in addition to the obvious triggers, which finally resulted in a catastrophic conclusion. Lily was arrested by police on November 27, 2019, when they showed up to her condo. Lily had left, and the day was silent. Unaware of what had happened during the last few days, he opened the door without thinking. She seemed calm, but there was a flicker of resignation in her eyes when the officers told her of the charges against her. The weight of her secrets and the terrible turn of her life started to settle in as they carried her away in handcuffs. After being placed under arrest, Lily had to confront the truth about what she had done and the terrible effects that. The arrest devastated Cody's family, particularly his parents and sister Rachel. Their feelings of betrayal and sorrow were crushed by the news. Already juggling the intricacies of her relationship with Lily, Rachel was divided between sadness and rage. Cody's parents found it difficult to believe that the marriage they had expected to be happy had ended tragically. They were forced to deal with the terrible truth of treachery inside their own family while they grieved the loss of their son and wondered how it had all gone so wrong. The family's loss was made more difficult by Rachel's marriage to Lily and their following sexual involvement. It seemed nearly impossible to overcome the complex web of lies and betrayals as they dealt with Cody's death's aftermath. Lily's imprisonment brought the family some closure, but it also brought up difficult issues of love, loyalty, and trust. They were aware that recovery would take time and be difficult emotionally. But despite everything, they clung to the faith that justice would usher in some form of order. Public curiosity in the case increased as the trial drew near, thanks to dramatic headlines and internet debates. The intricate details of Lily's past and the shocking turn of events that resulted in Cody's death enthralled a lot of people. The prosecution sought to paint Lily as a victim of betrayal and hatred, claiming that she was responsible for Cody's planned murder after learning of his resentment toward her former marriage and concealed identity. They displayed evidence from the scene of the crime, such as the knife that was covered in blood and their turbulent relationship. In contrast, Lily's defense highlighted her terror during the altercation and contended that she had acted in self-defense. They intended to draw attention to the continued difficulties in their marriage as well as the emotional upheaval brought on by Cody learning about her history. The jury was left to traverse the muddy seas of purpose and intention as testimonials from friends and family portrayed a picture of a couple embroiled in love, jealousy, and deep-seated secrets as the trial progressed. The courtroom turned into a theater of conflicting stories, everyone vying for the truth about what really happened that fateful night. Lily's acts were deliberate, according to the prosecution, which was headed by the direct-minded district attorney Mark Harding. He focused on the information found on Cody's laptop, claiming that the conflict that resulted in Lily's death was sparked by the disclosure of her transgender identity and her history with Cody's sister, Rachel. According to Harding, everything was planned. implying that Lily had carefully hidden her background so that when Cody found out, it would cause a huge explosion. Sarah Jane Lobeson, a 39-year-old lawyer, led the defense. Lobeson, who was well known for her sharp-witted yet empathetic style, said that Lily acted in self-defense. She claimed that after seeing Lily's paperwork, Cody grew enraged and started a physical altercation, forcing Lily to defend herself. Lily was portrayed by Lobeson as a sympathetic figure, with emphasis placed on her difficulties as a transgender person and her intense dread of being rejected by her loved ones. She pleaded with the jurors to consider Lily's mental state during the dispute. Cody's family attended every session of the trial, battling their own loss and uncertainty. Every day of the trial, Cody's parents came, clearly devastated by the loss of their son. Sitting among them, entangled in a web of complex ties, Rachel McAllister supported her family tacitly while battling her love for Lily. As each side made their case, it was evident how emotionally taxed they were. Following 2 days of deliberation, the jury deliberated for 3 weeks. In the end, Lily was determined to have committed second-degree murder. Some members of Cody's family felt that the judge's 20-year prison sentence was excessively light in light of their tragedy. The jury found that Lily's actions exceeded simple self-defense, even though they were not planned. The defense had hoped for a lesser manslaughter penalty. Both Cody's family and the locals, who had been following the story closely through publications like the San Jose Mercury News, were deeply affected emotionally by the trial. Even if justice was done, Cody's death still caused anguish. All of the people engaged in Lily McAllister's trial in February 2020 had their lives permanently altered. After being found guilty of Cody McAllister's murder, Lily was given a 20-year sentence and transported to Valley State Prison in Chowchilla, California. She had many difficulties as a transsexual woman in a male prison. She had to negotiate a challenging and frequently hazardous social situation because while some prisoners were helpful, others were antagonistic. Lily participated in educational programs in prison that emphasized writing and art, and she was able to get some assistance from other prisoners. She saw her time in prison as a chance for personal development and hoped to share her tale with others one day. She did, however, also encounter prejudice and animosity from others, which complicated her situation. Rachel McAllister struggled with the trial's fallout. Deeply impacted by the passing of her brother and her complicated bond with Lily, she used her love of music as a release for her feelings while working as a bartender in San Jose. Overcoming the pain and chaos in her life while carrying on with her desire of being a singer. Rachel used her music as a release for her pain and gave frequent performances at local San Jose gigs. She began therapy at the beginning of 2020 to help her work through her complicated feelings of betrayal and sorrow. She also started posting about her experiences on her TikTok channel in an effort to connect with other people who had gone through similar problems and spread awareness of mental health concerns and domestic violence. Lily's former lover, Duke Coleman Kang, who was the first to suspect Cody's murder, had to deal with constant difficulties. He battled addiction notwithstanding the verdict of the trial, which finally resulted in his arrest for drug possession in San Jose in 2020. His troubled past and drug addiction put him in the public eye, highlighting the case's far-reaching effects. After receiving a rehabilitation sentence, Duke tried to change his life and eventually settled in Nashville as a youth pastor. While his past haunted him, he concentrated on ending the pattern of his previous decisions. Meanwhile, Cody's family stayed steadfast in their efforts to honor his memory, transforming their sorrow into advocacy and outreach in an effort to preserve his spirit in their neighborhood. They founded a mental health support charity with the goal of helping others affected by violence. By this endeavor, they found comfort and a significant way to remember Cody, leaving a legacy that would aid others in overcoming adversity.